Hi everyone. So right now I believe most people, if not all, are in quarantine or at least just staying at home as much as possible. And of course all of this is kind of negative and kind of sad to see the world in this very closed down state where people can't really talk to their loved ones face to face, or like people can't keep in touch with their friends and have social activities, etc. However, I think that in these times of stress and times of sadness, it's pretty good or pretty essential to focus on the positives and try to have a more positive and encouraging attitude towards things that are happening during quarantine. So in today's video, I would like to just talk about quickly positive things that I've discovered during quarantine. And of course, most of it's bad, but it's sometimes nice to focus on the good side of things. So let's get into it. Alright, so in today's video I'm going to be talking about 3 different things that I've kind of discovered that will happen during quarantine that's actually not all bad. I'm starting with the first one, which is going to be the fact that during quarantine, because you're kind of just not able to go out unless it's for essential stuff or work or something like that, you are able to have a lot of time, and that will ultimately lead you to do work, as in like the stuff that you're supposed to do, rather than procrastinating because you have other social activities to do, like going out playing games, or like going out for sports, going out to, I don't know, catch Pokemon or something like that. It really just makes you focus on your work because there's no other distractions, and it's in a more controlled environment because you're in quarantine and you're in your own house. There's really no one that can disturb you in that environment, except of course your family members. But it's way more easy as compared to the times where social activity, it was so much more common before this whole virus thing happened. And it just makes me, or makes us, able to do work more efficiently and gain more focus, gain more experiences, and really just stand back and realize what's really the first priority in your life. And I feel that that is something that would not have happened if I still had a very active social life. Alright, so the second thing that I've kind of discovered or found in the state of quarantine is that you're really able to develop yourself, as in yourself as an individual. It's the same thing that causes focus on work. It's just like you don't really have a very active social life. You don't have to go out and be with people a lot. And it's really going to allow you to focus on yourself and kind of get to know yourself a bit better, as in what do you actually like, what do you don't like, what do you actually want to do, what are you passionate about. It's just some things that might have been clouded by the judgment of your peers or your friends. It's just really essential to be able to develop on your own once in a while, and I find that quarantine has actually accelerated that to some extent. And I personally have realized many things in my life that were constants are not actually beneficial, and I didn't actually like them, but I kept them around, whether it be people or some kind of object or some kind of like tendency. These things were negatively affecting me, and yet I kept them around because I felt bad about kicking them out of my life. But after being able to be with myself for such a long time, I realized that the most important thing when you're trying to develop as an individual is yourself. It's not really the opinions of other people or how they'll feel if you're trying to kick them out of your life. Especially with friends. Some friends, as discussed in my previous videos, are not very beneficial to you, even though they might act like they are, they might act friendly. It's just, you really need to try to realize who is really there for you and who is just being fake. And once you've made that differentiation, do not feel bad about kicking the people who are fake out of your lives, because you really deserve to be with people who care about you, who genuinely care about you. And that's something that I cannot stress enough when it comes to developing as an individual. I think that's a very essential step to becoming a more well-rounded and mentally stable person. The third thing that I've learned from this quarantine life is actually the thing that I've really didn't expect to discover or to learn about, because amongst all these other things, this one was the one that I didn't think was like an issue. And obviously right now that I'm talking about it, it is actually something that like a phenomenon that I think is pretty prominent and pretty important, but it's not really recognized within many people that I know personally. So the third thing that I've gained during this whole quarantine state is the avoidance of drama between friends. And let me just explain it. Like when you have a very active and amazing social life, then like you have a lot of friends, you have a lot of interactions, you get to go out a lot, and that's great. However, sometimes your friends will start arguing and there will be inevitable conflicts and you'll somehow just get involved, and it's just something that is pretty painful to be in, because if you're in a friend group of some sort and then two of the friends are fighting and you have to take sides, it's just a whole mess. I've known people who have mental breakdowns because they couldn't handle the fights that their friends were having, and it's literally breaking down their entire social life. So like they were having a lot of anxiety attacks and a lot of mental breakdowns. I've heard many stories about this, and honestly I didn't think that would happen to me, because I was not a very social person in high school, and honestly even to this day I'm not. And when it comes to relations and friends having fights, I thought I would never get into it, but eventually it did happen, and it was painful and it was awful, and I didn't want to go through it again. But I feel like this quarantine actually brought a break to many of us that none of us knew that we needed, because when you look at this, it's just like, hey, I don't have to deal with the drama because I don't really have an active social life with like in real life right now. All I have is social media, and I can choose to participate or not participate in the drama on social media because it's an optional thing to have in my life. It's not an obligation, like going to school and like having people talk to you and getting to know people and so on and so on. So like that's the third thing that I've kind of learned in quarantine. Okay, so those are just some things that I learned from quarantine that are actually pretty on the positive side. I hope you all agree with me. I think this is a nice way to get more positivity into this world right now, because we really need this as a community. We really need this as a human race, especially when we're going through such tough times with such limitations of staying at home and all that. I am not saying that quarantine is a good thing. That is not what I'm saying. Overall, it is not a good thing. But of course, there are good and bad sides to every single thing that happens to us as a human race. So I just want to focus on the positivity for this one video, and hopefully hope you guys see something that is like you haven't seen before, or like help you guys feel better about the situation. That's what I want to do with my videos in general. So I hope you all enjoyed today's video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.